Welcome to Even Tacos Fall Apart, a podcast built to help break the stigma and start the conversation on a wide variety of mental health topics. I'm MommaFoxFire, and today's episode is one I actually recorded back in 2020. It has taken a while to make its way out into the world, but I do think that you'll find this conversation just as relevant now as it was then. I sat down with Rob Walker to talk about peer specialist training, depression, anxiety, and also type 1 diabetes. That sounds like a lot, and it is, but that's what makes this such an important discussion. These are all topics that many people live with every single day, yet they don't get talked about enough. So what does it mean to be a peer specialist? At its core, it's about people with lived experience supporting others who are walking a similar path. That could mean someone who's been through depression or anxiety, or someone who's managed a chronic illness like diabetes, sharing their story in a way that helps someone else feel less alone. Unlike traditional clinical support, peer support is grounded in saying, "I've been there too," and that simple truth is incredibly powerful. Rob has been doing this work in Massachusetts, where he's helped to train and support a workforce of peers across the state. When the pandemic hit, he and his colleagues recognized that support couldn't just stop. They built training for how to do peer support virtually, over Zoom, over Discord, over Teams, and ended up training thousands of people worldwide. That adaptability shows how vital this work is. We also get real in this episode about depression and anxiety. Rob talks about what it's actually like to live with those diagnoses. The fatigue, the irritability, the times when depression became so severe he experienced hearing voices. These are symptoms that too often get brushed aside or misunderstood. And I think his honesty gives a clearer picture of what it's like for those living with it day to day. On top of that, Rob has lived with type 1 diabetes since he was 15. Managing a chronic physical condition alongside mental health challenges is exhausting. It means paying attention to sleep, diet, stress, and knowing when things are starting to slip. It's the kind of ongoing work that doesn't get acknowledged nearly enough, and I appreciate how openly he talks about it here. This episode is also about finding meaning and purpose through lived experience. Rob is clear that the tough times he's been through weren't easy, but he's found a way to turn them into something that helps others. And that's the heart of peer support. It's not about replacing therapy or medication, but about adding another layer of connection and understanding. If you've ever wondered how to better support people in your life who are struggling, or if you've been searching for a reminder that you are not alone in your own challenges, I think this conversation will hit home. Rob is thoughtful, honest, and not afraid to share what life has really looked like for him. With that, let's jump into the interview. Here's my conversation with Rob Walker.
I think I might have fixed it. It was on my end. Listen, what did I say? I was just saying all the time, if something with technology can go wrong, it's going to go wrong for me. That's
awesome.
I was not kidding. That was definitely not an exaggeration, because literally just a moment ago, we had all of this. We did audio checks. I swear to you guys, I actually did audio checks and everything. Matt says hello, Rob.
Hey, Matt.
So you guys, I'm super excited today. Thank you for joining us for another Mental Health Monday conversation here. We are joined by Rob Walker, who's a father of 3 grown daughters and a rescue beagle named Hank, who I'm excited to talk about here in just a little bit. He lives in a suburb of Boston, works for the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health, bringing the voice of the people with a diagnosis to the table to influence policy and programs, which is something that is really super cool. He also works with the peer workforce in Massachusetts and is an advocate for older adults with behavioral health issues. Since March of this year, he has worked with an assistant professor from Dartmouth College and an awesome team to train and certify over 3,000 people across the country and world to offer peer support remotely and how to take care of yourself during this new normal, which we're also going to talk about. Really, really exciting stuff here. Rob has received a number of different diagnoses over the last 50 years, but right now he is sticking with major depressive disorder and anxiety. He has also had type 1 diabetes for 48 years. I'm going to pop his Twitter a link to the digitalpeersupport.org website and also his email. So if anyone is interested in contacting him for anything, you can hit him up on any of those areas, and feel free to do so. But thank you so much for joining us here today, Rob. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Do I call you Miss Mama or Ms. Fire? I'm not sure.
You can call me MommaFoxFire, whatever you want to call me. Is just, hey, you, listen.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I answered everything. A.L. Myers says hello as well. So, hi, how are you today?
One of our team members.
Oh, awesome. So I'm also going to get a question queue set up. So if you guys have any questions for our guest tonight, as usual, you can type !Q, type in your question, and then I'll put it into a queue in the chat, and we'll be able to answer it live while we are right here. Sound commands are disabled because, you know, they're distracting sometimes. So no sound commands, but if you have a question, you can type !Q, put it into the chat, and we will get it answered for you right here live on. I still wonder, how do you type that fast? I'm just magical. It's magical. Oh, Matt, you have to put your question in. Okay, so the first question that I have for you is just, what are some of your favorite hobbies?
This was a hard question because I think that people who know me know I'm sort of a workaholic. So I haven't had much time for hobbies, but I would say my hobbies are working on my house, home repair, and we bought a cottage that I'm fixing up by the shore of in Maine. So I spend a lot of time up there, and because of the pandemic, I spent a lot of time working from home up in Maine. So that was fun. So I guess it's travel when I could, and doing home repairs and working with my hands.
Yeah, very cool. That's one of the things that
eating.
And
I would
eating.
love to say I love cooking, but I think eating wins over cooking.
What's your favorite meal?
What's my favorite meal? I think I would say spaghetti and meatballs, or lasagna, or stuffed shells.
Oh, yeah.
My wife's Italian, so.
Yes. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. My former mother-in-law was Italian, and boy, could she cook. It was really good.
And I think the carbohydrates, actually, the carbohydrates actually help in serotonin release in your brain. So actually when I'm feeling depressed, I find myself carbo loading.
Yeah, there's
help my mood.
Right. Scientific reason why carbs are so comfort food, right?
Yeah. That's why I'm so happy.
Absolutely. So A.L. Myers has a question as well, and they said, what is your favorite part of the work that you do? Thank you for that question.
My favorite part is actually now working with student interns, and working with interns who are going into professions like social work, like masters in public health, like public health administration, and who have the lived experience of a mental health challenge, and who in the past haven't really been able to figure out how to use that as part of their newly chosen profession. So I like to model around people how to share their own lived experience, and how it's okay it's okay to be human and a social worker, or it's okay to be human and work in public health and share some of your own experiences with the mental health system and with your own mental health challenges. And right now, that's been my most rewarding.
Yeah.
And doing webinars. We do a lot of webinars, and I've enjoyed doing them. And it's kind of nice not to get stage fright because you don't see the audience. That there could be 5,000 people listening or 5, and it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. For a lot of people, I think that before they stream or do a webinar, there is some anxiety that comes up with that sometimes. But it's as someone who has done some public speaking fairly recently, right before the pandemic hit, I gave a talk at a local college, and it was one of those things that I do this 3 times a week. I come on here, I talk to people, I engage with my community, all this stuff, right? And it's one thing to do that, and sure, there are some nerves before that. Sure, there's a little bit of anxiety sometimes before you hit that go live button. It's nothing compared to walking onto a stage and talking to a like huge auditorium full of people. It's completely different. Yeah, so that is a little bit different in these times, for sure.
Except I have quite a sense of humor, and sometimes it's hard for me to judge if my jokes fell completely flat or if people smile because I can't see people's facial reactions. So it's harder to read people like this, but I guess as long as I'm having fun, I assume the audience is also.
There's no reason to assume anything else, right? So you also mentioned that you have an adorable rescue beagle. You sent me a picture, and I wished that I could make that fit into the image, but the image is a square, and I just couldn't quite make. I was like, okay, well, I could feature just the dog. Do you feel that there are benefits to having pets, and especially right now in this pandemic?
Well, I think Hank is his name. Hank Beagle was his official name that the young woman that fostered him gave it, and we chose we didn't find any reason to change it. But I think pets really lift people's mental health. I think just for several reasons. One, that there's somebody else to take care of. That for a long time, I think people with long-term mental health challenges always feel like everybody else is taking care of them. At least I did. I'll speak for myself. I felt like that, but now it's nice to have a dog that's an animal that's dependent on you to take care of you, that shows unconditional love, that gets me out of the house and walking up the street. And I've met many of my neighbors through my dog rather than through my own social. It's the dog. The dog is the icebreaker. And I suppose if I was single, that would be another way to meet people also would be just to have a dog that.
Right. Yeah, there's so many people in my neighborhood that have dogs and walk their dogs, and there's also a lot of dogs that get out in this area. So everyone's always talking on the Nextdoor app about so-and-so's dog is out. Does anyone know where they are? Like, it's just one of those things that truly, no matter what it is about dogs, it brings people together to either help locate an owner, to talk about dogs, whatever it is. It's such a cool thing. I really enjoy. I have 2 dogs right now. We just lost a dog a couple of weeks ago to cancer, but I have 2 other dogs, and they are just the most wonderful.
And dog people are great people.
Absolutely.
Was a discussion another time on another show, but no, dog people are great people.
Well, I also have 3 cats, so we're both here.
Okay.
Yeah, we did have 3 dogs and 3 cats, and then the oldest dog, he was 13, and just the cancer spread to his lungs, and that was it for him. But yeah, we are definitely both in this house for sure.
And when I worked, when I did some work at a adolescent inpatient psych unit, so these were kids that were there for 6 months to a year and a half, inpatient in a hospital, that the therapy dogs were the highlight of everybody's day.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the story. There was this one girl who had a bad history of abuse and always wanted to sit on Santa's lap, but was afraid. They didn't want to sit on Santa's lap, didn't want to be touched by Santa.
Mm-hmm.
But finally, after a couple months of work, or probably closer to a year of work with the dog, Mahoney, she agreed to go to the mall with Mahoney. And there's a picture in her nurse's office of her and Mahoney, which was this giant Irish setter, sitting on Santa's lap. And it was like it's the cute. I'll always remember that photo of that, how the dog was the one that gave her the courage to do that.
Absolutely. What a nice story to just, and that it's such a story of healing and just progress. And sometimes you don't get that. I mean, it's not that other humans aren't helpful, but a dog just loves you unconditionally. They accept you exactly how you are. And that's so refreshing sometimes to have.
Yeah, that was sweet. I still remember. That's like this time of year brings up that memory.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Christmas was right around the corner. That's for sure. I know because I've been in conversations with Santa. Pretty sure my kid just walked by. So.
Oh, yeah.
So do you have a serial killer or true crime story that fascinates you?
Not really. My daughters listen to all the true crime podcasts, but I'm more of a Criminal Minds kind of guy. So I've watched that from the very beginning. So I think, I don't know why, we had a long discussion with my daughters about, I tend to like the sort of the realistic TV shows and the factual TV shows. So the Criminal Minds is my favorite, and probably part of me would like to be a criminal behavioralist, but I know I would never be that talented.
Well, it's so neat to look at the science behind, how they do all of those, how they make all those predictions, how they put together a profile. Did you watch, so you watched Criminal Minds. Did you watch Mindhunters? Or Mindhunter? So just one singular?
No.
It's on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix. Highly recommend. If you like Criminal Minds, it's a tiny bit more serious than Criminal Minds, but it is still a TV drama kind of crime. It's a very well done show.
I'll have to get my daughters to give me their password.
Yeah, there you go.
For Netflix.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So you administer the peer specialist training contract with digitalpeersupport.org, which I put into the chat earlier. I'm just going to do that one more time. Let me put this website into the chat right here. So this is the website that we're talking about, if anybody would like to go and see. Can you give us the background of that and how you got started with them and what have been your biggest takeaways or lessons that you've learned as a trainer?
Well, so that you're partly right. So I work for the state, and in each state in the country has their own way of administering the certified peer specialist training and certification. So peers are people with lived experience, people with experience in the mental health system or experience with being given a diagnosis, a mental health diagnosis, who get training on how to tell their own personal story with intent and purpose, and how to share their own lived experience. So it's somebody that can say, yeah, I understand. I've been there. I've been through something similar to what you've been through. I know
Mm-hmm.
what it's like to have to be hospitalized and have to explain it to your friends. And
Right.
I know what it's like to hear voices. I've heard them too. So in Massachusetts, that the the state Department of Mental Health administers that contract, and we contract out to a provider to offer that training. So I do a lot of work to make sure the training is up to what we need in Massachusetts and what people need, what the people we serve, the people that get mental health services in Massachusetts need.
Mm-hmm.
And since March, sort of independent of that, we found out nationally across the country that because of COVID, there were peer centers being shut down because people only thought that peer services could be delivered live. So
Mm-hmm.
I got together with Professor Dr. Karen Fortuna at Dartmouth College and some of our team and said, well, you know what? Let's put together a webinar to train peer specialists how to deliver this using Zoom, using Discord, using Microsoft Teams,
Mm-hmm.
how to engage people, how to help people, how to run groups using Zoom. So we put together a 4-hour training that we joke about it, but I thought we'd only have to do it 2 or 3 times and a couple people would be interested and that would be it. But we've trained over 3,000 people across the world in Australia, Jordan, Canada, England, the US, including Alaska and Hawaii. So
Wow.
it's really been it's been a whirlwind tour,
Yeah.
and a couple of the different states have taken it out as their own official certification. So it's been very rewarding to help people keep their doors open and help the rest of the mental health profession realize that it can happen remotely too.
Absolutely. And that's such a cool thing, that you were able to help adapt like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was.
Go ahead.
It's been no, it's been fun. Every time we give the webinar, it's been fun, and we've also done one called SOAR, serving older adults remotely. So it's really how to work with older adults, because I think as people have found out during the COVID crisis that too many people were accepting older adults as sort of a collateral damage from the COVID crisis,
Mm-hmm.
that that don't worry about them and
Right.
we won't take extra precautions to protect the older adults. So we really wanted to work with the older adult workforce to and their families and the caregivers on how to serve older adults when if you can't do it in the home.
Right. Absolutely. D. Mazina asks, what does it mean for you to be a peer support specialist, and how do you think that COVID has impacted the field?
What does it mean? Well, what does it mean to me personally is that it's helped me find meaning and purpose for all the sort of the not so great experiences and the negative experiences I've been through the depression and the psychotic depression and sort of all the feelings and stigma and all that associated with it. I figured I didn't have anything to give, or
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't amount to anything. And now here I am talking here about my own experience and sharing my experiences and hoping that other people will learn from my not so great experiences and hopefully have a better experience through it. So that's what it means. What was the second half?
The second part of that you touched on briefly, but the second part of that was, how do you think that COVID has impacted the field of peer support specialists?
Well, I think I think that the I'm trying to think, the administrators across the country realize that peer specialists are still a valuable part of the behavioral health workforce,
Mm-hmm.
and that lived experience is still needed during the time of crisis. And I think that people have also realized how adaptive that peers can be. I know people that are doing Zoom calls from their car or driving and parking in the McDonald's parking lot because they don't have high-speed internet in their house, but they're going above and beyond to work with the people they're working with, and that their relationship they have with the people they work with really still matters, and it doesn't matter how it's delivered via telephone or
Mm-hmm.
Zoom or texting or playing video games on Discord, that it's the relationship that matters. So I think the
Absolutely.
way it's delivered has changed, but I don't think peer support has changed during COVID.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The delivery methods changed, not the actual support. And it's nice to have that peer support on top of a professional support, right? Because a professional can't necessarily tell you, well, here's what I've been through and here's what I did that worked for me. They can help guide you to your solution, where someone like me or you can say, I went through this and this is what I did. Doesn't mean it's the right thing for you, but it's good for you to hear that someone else has gone through it too. And that's to me, that's the biggest difference. And the two work together just so well when you can get both.
Yeah, I don't think neither one's meant to replace the other.
Absolutely not.
Thank
Right.
you for mentioning that.
Yeah. So what is your favorite thing about working with the Massachusetts Department of Health to bring that voice of the people? And do you have any, so kind of your favorite thing, and then on the other side of that, what have been the biggest challenges for you?
My favorite things are having people that are clinical professionals, having them surprised sometimes at the insight that the people that are receiving services bring to the table, and that the ideas the ideas we, meaning the people receiving services, come up with are somewhat surprising to them, and are more insightful than they ever manage. And you can see people, and I don't fault them for that. It's just what people are trained in school and taught in school and mentored. But it's funny watching people sort of change from, oh, okay, I'll just, they're on the committee, we check the box, we'll just let people say what they want to say, to like further on in the project saying, oh wow, that's a great idea. What else can we change? What else do you have to say on this? Because we bought people to make decisions on, on high dollar contracts and high dollar program changes and things like that, we're the experts. We're the one receiving the services. And it's nice that people are finally realizing that, yeah, maybe we know what would work and what wouldn't work. So that's been the happy part. And I guess probably some of the most frustrating part is the use of still very clinical language that really, to me, and I think and probably to others, is like a real put down. He's a schizophrenic. She's borderline. Don't listen to her. Just those words are calling me a patient. That so some of the language that, even though the ideas have evolved, sometimes the language, the clinical language hasn't caught up. It's like, just call people by their name. You don't have to have a label.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're not your illness, right? You're not a schizophrenic. You are a person who happens to also deal with schizophrenia. And that's hard. That language lingers so much still in just daily conversation. It's crazy. Yeah, that's a big challenge. I could definitely see that. A.L. Myers. Go ahead.
Oof. No, when I used to do a talk at some of the hospitals, and I showed this pie chart. I said whenever I got admitted or whenever I got services in a hospital, when I was ever inpatient, I felt like staff saw me as like 99%, whatever the hell the diagnosis was then, bipolar disorder type 1, blah, 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 and 1%, everything else. But when I look at my life is just like maybe 3% my diagnosis, but I'm also, besides having major depressive disorder, I'm also a father, a brother, a father-in-law, a manager, a friend, a husband. There's a whole bunch of other identities I have that the diagnosis is just one teeny bit of it.
Absolutely. 100%. Thank you for that subscription, Laugh for a Purpose. It's good to see you here today. So A.L. Myers says, what do you think are some of the most effective ways that people can get involved in mental health advocacy?
I think on the state scene is following the bills, following the budget and the legislative cycle of your own state legislature, and seeing what bills need advocacy and getting involved with an advocacy organization like National Alliance for Mental Illness, NAMI. Most states have, we have one in our state, Mass Association for Mental Health, that they have a whole advocacy arm that keeps up with where the fund, where funding is and all that. And call your as a state employee, I can't promote one bill over another, but I can certainly do that nationwide. So follow the Congress and the Senate after it gets installed and look and see what national mental health bills are up for vote, and do your research.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of the legislative advocacy. But I think there's also personal advocacy, like reach out to people are having a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
Befriend your coworkers that nobody else is, that people don't seem to be friends with. Ask people, how are you doing? How are you doing during this COVID crisis? How are you feeling? I'm around if you want to talk. Just text. I texted somebody today, just said, I'm thinking of you. How are you doing? Just
Absolutely.
keep in touch with people and check in with people. There's a lot of people are fighting battles you wouldn't know, and you won't know about unless you ask.
Yeah, it's been amazing to me. So I wasn't always super open about my own mental health, and then as soon as I became a mental health champion with my company and started talking more openly about it, it was amazing to me how many people were just receptive, not only to hearing it, but also to sharing their own stories. And sometimes you just don't know until you share something of yourself, or just reach out. Because I feel like even if I hadn't been sharing my story, if I had just been reaching out to some of these people who I didn't even know necessarily needed someone, they surely would have opened up because they could feel it was a safe space. So that's very good to hear. Laugh for a Purpose says, as someone who trains others, do you ever have to turn it over to someone else in order for you to take your own personal time?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I think there's a cliche that you can't pour water out of an empty pitcher, that I try to focus on. I try to schedule self-care in my day and in my week, because I try to take care of myself first so I can help train other people. But yeah, this is very hard work, dealing with feelings and emotions and people's sadness and their joys, but it's a little bit of both. But yeah, it takes a toll. If you're good at what you do, it takes a little bit of a toll on you. But I think it's scheduling the time and making sure you take it. Like I said in the beginning, I'm probably a better preacher than I am. I don't always listen to my own advice. I have to make an appointment to see myself sometimes, but
Yeah, it's good to keep in mind, though. Sometimes that's what you have to do, and it's completely valid to do so. If you need to put time on your calendar and just block it off and say, this is for me, this isn't for anyone else. That's important to do as well. Goldie said, Rob, you are kind, compassionate, and inspiring. Thank you for being an amazing human. And A.L. Meyer said, I second that. A great colleague, friend, and person in general, truly an inspiration.
I stacked the audience.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And it's good to get that positive feedback as well. That's nice to hear. So that's good. So that leads actually really well into my next question for you, which is, are there any tips you find yourself giving people on a regular basis as far as how to take care of ourselves during this new normal that we're all facing right now?
Yeah, the biggest tip I can give is that for people who are working from home, which I think many people are, for those of us, I guess, that are lucky enough to work from home, that this isn't just working from home. This is working from home during a pandemic, during at least a month or two ago, during all the Black Lives Matter strife going on, during all the political, no matter what side you're on, the political uncertainty
The
that's
mess.
going on. And yeah, and if you have children under 18 and you're homeschooling at the same time. So give yourself a freaking break that
Yeah.
this isn't just switching your job from the office to your home. That don't be perfect. There's no way you can be perfect. That I tell people that 70% is good enough for your work. Your boss might disagree with me, but you can't do 100%. You can't give 100% and take care of everything else and try to deal with the pandemic that's in its second or third wave right now. That it's okay. You don't have, this is get out of guilt for free card. It's okay not to feel guilty. You're doing great, whatever it is you're giving.
I feel like I need to have some get out of guilt free cards made. That's an awesome phrase.
Yeah. Because it is. That's the hardest part, is you don't have to do 120%. You can't. It'll kill you. And I think the thing too is scheduling time. If you're a scheduler of meetings, don't schedule them back to back. Don't have one meeting that ends at 10 and then the next one starts from 10 to 11 and the 11 o'clock meeting ends and you get one from 11 to 12. That you need to build in breaks somehow in your schedule if you have control over it at all, between meetings, between these Zoom calls, that it's that they're very exhausting, and Zoom fatigue, for instance, is a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to schedule, when I'm scheduling meetings, I try to schedule them for starting 5 after. And it's hilarious to me how many people will show up, 3 minutes before the meeting time. So they'll show up at, 1:02 instead of 1:05. And they'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm late. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're actually early. It's fine. You got 3 minutes. If you need to go get some more water, refill your coffee, go to the bathroom if you need to. And everyone's like, wait, what? It's hilarious to see how many people are genuinely confused and then genuinely pleased that they have that 2 to 3 minutes left to go get a refill or to go visit the restroom. It's really funny and a little sad.
It is.
But that feeds in really well. Oh, so I want to mention this, that Bite Mark said as well. She said, I feel like I always hesitate to reach out because I worry people will be annoyed, but then I think about how many times I wish someone would have sincerely asked me if I was okay. Yes, I get that totally and completely. But that feeds into my next question as well, which is going to be about chatting platforms like Zoom and meetings. Have you seen any negative or positive impact of the increased use of video chatting platforms, such as what we're doing right now with Discord or things like Zoom or FaceTime or anything else like that during the pandemic?
I think so for me, being someone who's sometimes a hermit and a lot of times sort of introverted, believe it or not, that I feel like I've been training all my life for for this part of the quarantine, for staying at home and interacting via Zoom. But the I think another big advantage is people are more human when they're in their own home doing these Zoom calls. That I've learned more about people and about their pets. Like, I'm
Yes.
disappointed when somebody's cat doesn't crawl over their Zoom camera, even if it's a big, big fancy meeting, that people still show their dogs and you get glimpses of their kids and their pets. And I think that's a true joy, that people are, you're being led into people's lives in a way that you wouldn't before. You just knew them as people in the office. So I think it has some big advantages there. And I think for delivery of mental health services, it also has an advantage that, so I live outside of Boston, and we have some pretty decent hospitals in Boston and some pretty specialized psychiatrists in Boston. And some of the people that need those consultation services are a 3-hour, 2-hour car ride away. So especially people that need child psychiatrists, there's not a lot of them around Massachusetts. So if somebody lives on the other side of the state that needs to take their son or daughter to a child psychiatrist, they got to pile everybody in the car. They got to drive 2 hours or more to Mass General Hospital. They got to pay an arm and a leg. They got to pay like $35 to park for the hour presentation. Then they got to pile everybody in and then drive them all back out. But now you can roll out of bed almost literally and hook up with your yeah, I kind of try to do my hair first, but what's left of it. But truly, that it's really for behavioral health and for things for people that don't have babysitters and have to go for a long time. It's a way of sort of equalizing all the specialty care in big cities with the people out in the more rural settings for therapy and for, psychiatric consultation. So I think it's been a big bonus for the families.
Absolutely.
Served like that.
Yep. Crunchy Muffin said, I feel so bad for my teacher. She can never get video chat to work. I think that's a unique challenge for a lot of people who are trying to do school from home, and especially teachers trying to do school from home. Anyone trying to do any sort of meeting from home, like all of these technologies are really tapped for what they can be used for. It seems to have gotten better lately, I will say, at least for my kids. Like the teachers seem to have finally adapted to what they're trying to do, and they have their stuff really pretty well together. it's a little bit of a problem every now and then, especially with my first grader. His teacher still has a little bit of challenges, but yeah, that was a big adjustment for a lot of people, most definitely. So
But I think we also have to remember that internet is almost internet's a necessity now, and we can't forget about. I still am haunted in a way by the picture on Facebook, so it must be true. But no, the picture on Facebook of two young kids sitting outside of Taco Bell doing their homework because they don't have internet connection in their house. So Taco Bell was the closest place. So they were doing their homework and probably their classwork sitting on the curb outside of Taco Bell. And we can't forget the people that don't have the means to get high-speed internet.
Yeah. At one point, we obviously, since I'm doing this, we do have internet and we have very good internet here. But at one point, our whole area's power was out for an extended period. And it wound up being like 36 hours that it was out. And the teachers were giving an option to come to the school. So the school is a significant distance from us, to come to the school and do school from the parking lot. And so it was like you would bring your kids to the parking lot and have them pull up their Chromebooks, and then they would all, use a hotspot in the parking lot. And I wound up just not having him do school for a couple days, which was fine, and it's not a big deal. But it's one of those things that you do have to take into consideration. You're right, absolutely. Internet is crazy, required, necessary right now for everyone. For sure. All right, let me catch up on chat here a little bit. Bite Mark said, who says you have to get out of bed in regards to rolling out of bed? Absolutely, yes. Bite, thank you so much for that sub. Your support means so much to me, and I really, really appreciate you. You have no idea. Yeah, and it's just one of those things that it's necessary to do. And then you got to make sure that your kids are having a little bit of time away from that as well. So it's real easy for me, because I'm working, to just be like, okay, do your schoolwork. Whenever your schoolwork is done, if you want to stay on the computer for a little bit, that's fine, because I can't come check you anyway because I'm working whenever you end. And so you got to make sure, I have to make sure that they get that downtime too, which is a whole other level. So is there anything specific we should be looking to communicate to those around us as far as friends or family, to both give support to them and to try to make sure that we are receiving the support that we need?
I think one of the individuals mentioned, don't be afraid to ask how you're doing, and if the answer's fine, and people walk away, then just ask again a couple days later if you still suspect something. I think so for family, I think listen to your gut, that if you think something's not quite right, then it probably isn't. But especially probably more with loved ones, that people are ready to talk about it when they're ready to talk about it. And for a lot of things, you can't really speed that up. So if your teenager doesn't want to talk about it today, just ask it again tomorrow. And even if they call you a nag, you can ask again. You have my permission.
Yes.
To ask in a kind and respectful way.
I need that permission, because I have a 13, she'll actually be 14 on Wednesday. So I have a 13/14-year-old who I ask constantly, how are you really doing? And Mom, I'm fine. Just like the typical response, and not really a lot of a lot more out of it, kind of one word answers, which I went through with my oldest as well around that age. So I'm familiar with it, but it's kind of one of those, I feel like she wants me to stop asking, but at the same time, I'm not going to stop asking. So
The one advice that I used to give parents, I still do, parents, is make use of car time. If you have to drive an hour to somewhere, figure a way to hide their phone or ask if they can put it away, or go through the mountains where they can't get any data over the cell phone. There's all kinds of ways you could do this, above board and sneaky, but and use that car time. That's like a valuable time. And some of my most meaningful conversations with my parents and with my kids have been when there's just the two of us in the car and they can't run out of the car.
Can't get away. You have a captive audience, right?
Yeah. But in all seriousness, it's a great time just to. I mean, you don't ask, how's your sex life? How's that boy at school? You
Right.
just say, how's it going?
Right. Not trying to be intrusive, just trying to engage. Yeah.
And yeah, check in on family members, especially older family members who might be alone. And because the holidays, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but my Thanksgiving wasn't the same. There was just 4 of us, not 15 of us. And
yeah, it was different this year.
The Christmas holidays are going to be the same or whatever. Yeah, Hanukkah's coming up. That's going to be different.
It's all different this year. Bite said I actually had a day a week or so ago where my kiddo was in a funk and didn't want to talk about it. So I just had her come sit next to me and hugged her. She rolled her eyes at me. Very typical. But then she hugged me back and then she relaxed in the hug and we ended up just kind of cuddling on the couch for a couple hours. Probably not recommended for coworkers in most cases. True. But still, like that physical affection of a hug, not right now because social distancing and all that. But coworkers need hugs too. And also, if you need a hug, you can ask someone for a hug. You can ask your kids, say, hey, can I just get a hug? Like I know my youngest, he's 7 and he'll give me a hug anytime I want, unless he's in the middle of a fight in whatever game he's playing on a computer.
Fortnite.
Yes.
He's playing Fortnite.
No right. Hug. And so if he's in the middle of a battle, like that's a no. But if he's gonna come, he'll come after. But he'll give me a hug anytime. And you just have to ask for it. There's so many people who are willing to give you that support that you need if you just ask for it. So you mentioned that you've had a range of diagnoses over the last 50 years. What would you do differently if you could do it all over again with the knowledge that you have now? Or what advice would you give to someone just starting to seek help for their own mental illnesses?
I think, I don't know if there's anything I could have done differently that would have sped up my healing or my recovery. I mean, I wish I had the internet so I could have done more research around what was going on. And I wish there were more support groups. I think the first peers, quote unquote, peers that I met really were when I was about, let's see, I got to do math real quick, about 35 years ago when I had a series of hospitalizations. And it was so that I saw the same people during multiple hospitalizations. So they became my peers. So they became my support system, at least when I was in the hospital getting treatment, were the other people that I recognized. And it's like, hey, how are you doing? And it was a friendship, and they obviously they knew what I was going through because they were going through it at the same time. So I didn't that was like the first time that I had that kind of support. So I guess the advice would be to find a community of support even when you're still trying to figure it out. And the other thing is it takes a while. It takes a long time. That if you go the medication route, the medication takes forever to figure out which one works and which one doesn't work. And it takes a while to find a therapist that you like and that works for you. But
Mm-hmm.
on the other side, you don't have to stick with it forever if it's not working either. You're not
Yeah.
feeling any better. Or I had one therapist that when I had the appointments at 4 in the afternoon, I must have been the last one of his day. So he used to nod off sometimes during therapy.
Oh no.
I knew after about, I wish I could mention his name. I should. But anyway, but he used to nod off. And yeah, that I knew that, like, I trusted my own. I didn't need to ask anybody permission. After like a couple months, I just said, forget it. Not even worth bringing it up to him.
Yeah.
I had a change of insurance. I can't see you anymore. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
That was that was the easiest way for me to end it.
Yeah.
And to raise my voice a lot during those times.
Oh, how awful. What an
was.
awful thing to go through.
It was.
Yeah, we've talked here a lot about you can always fire your therapist if they're not working for you, if you're not getting along with them, if you aren't feeling better with them. I mean, of course, give it a little bit of time, but if for some reason you're just not clicking with your therapist, fire them and get a new one. That's not a problem, and it's totally within your rights. They work for you, you don't work for them. But that's a hard thing to remember. And my first experience with a therapist was not good. And I did not realize that I could just get a new one. I wound up not going to therapy for many years because of that. And I'm so glad that I went back because now my therapist is wonderful.
That's excellent. And I think another bit of advice is whatever's going on, 99.99% of the time, it's not your fault. Whatever happened to you, it's not your fault. If you're experienced trauma of any kind, it's not your fault. So that would be the first like channel to change inside your mind is it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's your fault. It's your responsibility to move beyond it, but it's not your fault that it happened.
You have to take ownership of your healing, but you're not the cause. Absolutely. So everyone experiences illnesses uniquely. Can you describe what symptoms of type 1 diabetes, anxiety, major depressive order you've experienced and how those impact your life?
Well, diabetes, the onset was sudden. And so for type 1 diabetes means that your body does not make insulin at all. Your body attacks the cells inside your pancreas that make insulin and destroys them. So it happened when I was about 15 years old. I lost like 50 pounds.
Wow.
I got up to pee in the middle of the night like literally like 10 times a night.
Oh no.
Yeah, my feet was burning, my eyes were blurry. So it was pretty sudden onset. But I mean, here I am still living through that.
Mm-hmm.
Still alive. So that was great. And the I don't know, the depression is just not wanting to get out of bed, always irritable, always fatigued. When the depression gets real bad, I used to hear voices telling me you know, how bad a person I was, how no good how I was not good. Those kind of things which go along with like severe depression. So I think it's the symptoms you usually hear about, sort of tired, sleeping all the time. My weight didn't fluctuate. I know for a lot of people, their weight either goes way up or way down, loss of interest in everything, and suicidal thoughts. But I think any feeling that doesn't feel right or doesn't feel like normal, and I think those close to me saw my moods change much quicker than I did. I think other people around me noticed it before I did. So I think that for the people that are feeling it, it helps us to listen to other people's feedback. And for other people, it means it's important to repeat your concern
Mm-hmm.
to the other person and don't just say it once and then say, oh, they heard it. Okay, I'm done. That was it. I did my duty.
Yeah.
And some of it, I mean, you can say, let's talk about it. And you don't have to have the answers and you don't have to have the support, the therapist, doctor, whatever lined up when you're having the conversation. You can
Mm-hmm.
continue the conversation and then go, well, let's go together. I'll go with you. Let's find some help somewhere, or let's let's go to your doctor and tell your PCP, your primary care physician, and see what he or she has to say.
Well, and sometimes even just offering that to a friend can be really comforting because they might not feel comfortable speaking up for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can be there to help them or offer to help them, then that's something that's just one more thing that maybe will prompt your friend or your family member or even your coworker to actually seek out the help that will support them the best. And same, like if you're having somebody talk to you and you're not able to speak up for yourself, you could always ask them to help you as a friend. That's a really impactful thing. So what do you do now that best helps you manage your symptoms?
I get a regular night's sleep.
Really important.
I eat healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I need. I know when I'm slipping. So I know that if I stay awake at night, that's a sign that things are going south real quickly. So get some extra help. So I know what I need to do to keep healthy every day, and I know what my signs are when I start to slip, and I know what to do when I
Mm-hmm.
when I feel that way and who to call. And I try to keep the rest of my health in check because it's all related: mental health, physical health,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual health, everything.
Yeah, they definitely tie in together for sure. So we talked a little bit about how what you've lived for or what you've lived through and with has helped you relate to others in kind of this peer specialist, peer support role. Have there been any times where your experiences or your background have really helped you connect with someone else directly?
I think, I think every day that that's how I connect with people. And a lot of the people in the helping professions have have behavioral health issues. I mean, that's why we go into this profession to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm able to relate to people because of that on a level that, even some of the psychiatrists and the social workers and all that they might not talk about things to other people, but because they know, I don't know what the right word is, that I'm one of them, it's sort of like a secret club that we all belong to, but just not everybody knows they belong
Right.
to it yet.
Right.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, absolutely.
it's kind of, yeah. And I don't know. I see more and more of it, and I don't know if it's occurring more, or I'm more aware, or that people are drawn to me because of it. It's very interesting.
I think almost everyone I have talked to on this show has had a story about why I got into mental health because of this insert very specific personal thing that happened to them in their life and or experience that they went through or something that they dealt with with an on and ongoing basis personally. That's why I do this. It's not like, well, why'd you become, a police officer? And well, maybe police officer isn't a great one, but some professions just have this really strong drive to why you did it, why you became this specific thing. Why'd you become a doctor of psychology instead of a medical doctor? And it's like, well, I had the drive.
Yeah.
It's not that I couldn't do it. It's that I had the drive to go to this one. So, yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
So if you weren't doing what you do now, or if you had chosen a different path, what would you be doing instead?
I have no idea. It's funny. I don't know. It's funny you should mention that because I'm 62. It's time to think of sort of what my life after the Department of Mental Health would look like and
Mm-hmm.
I can't just like retire and yell at kids to get off my lawn all day. So I have to so this is a deep question. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the final chapters of my life are going to be like. I don't know how to answer that. I think it would probably be in advocacy
Mm-hmm.
work around mental health. I think it would still be in the same general field, just probably more lobbying and advocacy, which I can't really do
Yeah.
as a state employee.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could be involved kind of on the more political side at the state level, you might enjoy that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I expected you from our earlier conversation to say something like home remodels.
I was going to say, I don't think I could be a carpenter. I don't think I'd make any money out of it. That's the thing.
Well,
You haven't
that's
seen what my home looks like.
Listen, as long as it works. Do the doors all
Yeah,
closed? Do the
yeah,
windows
that's
all
true.
closed? We're good. Okay, so it is time now for the Disney magical moment, and I have to turn this where it isn't going to make everyone have a seizure. There we go. All right, so I have this magic wand, and I'm going to hand it to you through the webcam, and if you get to wave this magic wand and eliminate one common opinion, misconception, theory surrounding mental illness, disabilities, or talking about mental health, what would it be? And this is I bestow this upon you to eliminate that now.
That people with mental illness are violent or criminals, that we're less prone to violence than the general public, and we're 4 times more likely to be victims of violence than we are perpetrators of violence.
Mm-hmm.
We're not scary.
Yeah.
I mean, does this look scary? I mean, we're not scary. We're not violent.
Absolutely.
We live among you.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, we have talked about the statistics before here, but on top of that, it's 1 in 4 people will experience a diagnosable mental illness every single year. And if you expand that to over a lifetime, it becomes 1 in 2. And so it's like, really, you're going to say that mental illness doesn't impact you, or it's crazy. It's insane.
Those people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to any remaining community questions that they may have. Go ahead and type !Q, put it into the chat. I will ask our guest that. We do have one more. Bite Mark asked, what is your favorite poem?
I like the Robert Frost poems because he grew up in New Hampshire, not too far from where I live. But I think that would be like forcing me to pick a favorite daughter. So I'll just say Robert Frost poems.
That, you know what? That's perfect though. That's a good answer. It really, really is. Because it's neat that it's kind of local to you, but then he's got such a body of work that it's just great. It's just fantastic. So instead of picking one specifically, I will link everyone to a general book with the poetry of Robert Frost, and it's multiple. How about that? So there you go. With that, like I said, if anybody else has any more questions, go ahead and type them into chat and I will ask Rob. But I will just open the floor to you and say if there's anything that you want to cover, anything you want to throw out there, sites, recommendations, something we didn't cover you want to talk about, I will just open up the floor to you.
Well, I think it's be kind. I think we've had some years previously where people haven't been that kind, and I think it's raised everybody's anxiety level and depression and everything else. So I think we all came from the same gene pool. The 1 out of 4 Americans, the 1 out of 4 of us that have mental illness are 1 out of 4 of every race, creed, color, national origin, and orientation. So be kind to everybody, I guess, would be my thing. And on the top of that list is be kind to yourself, because some of the people that are the kindest to other people are not kind to themselves, and that doesn't work.
Absolutely right. Well, Dee Mazzina said, Rob, thank you for all your wonderful, inspirational, and continued work. You're amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Dee Mazzina. We appreciate you stopping by and asking questions. Rob, thank you so much for being on the show. Stick around.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, stick around for just a minute and I'll disconnect with you. Let me switch over. Bite Mark said, Rob, thank you for being here tonight. You seem like a great person. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
That wraps up my conversation with Rob Walker. I'm really grateful he was willing to share so openly about living with depression, anxiety, and type 1 diabetes, as well as the work he's done to build up the peer support workforce. What stood out to me most is how he turned some of the hardest parts of his life into a way to connect with and support others. That reminder that our lived experience matters is something we can carry into everyday life. You don't have to be a certified peer specialist to put these lessons into practice. Reaching out to a friend with a quick text, asking someone how they're really doing, or just being present for your family when things are hard. Those are all small but powerful ways to offer support. Rob also made a great point about self-care. None of us can show up for others if we're not taking care of ourselves. So scheduling rest and giving ourselves permission not to be perfect is a message worth remembering. If this episode spoke to you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and leave a comment or a review wherever you're listening. It helps the show reach more people, and it helps me keep these conversations going. You can also share it with a friend or a family member who might need to hear that they aren't alone. Thank you for listening and for being a part of this community. Even tacos fall apart sometimes, and we still love them, and I still love you.